Hello and welcome everyone, I am Madals and this is some more Heart of the Swarm beta action. Today I'm looking at a ZvP. It is between the red Zerg player in the lower left, Liquid's TLO, and his opponent up in the top right is the blue Protoss, PandaTank. So, ZvP on Daybreak, what are these two players likely to be doing? To be honest, PandaTank has two options. Option 1, gateway pressure into an expansion. Option 2, a Forge or Nexus first, and judging by the fact this probe is being pulled to build a pylon on the low ground, my money is on the latter of those two. TLO, he's a bit more predictable. Early game, it's going to be a pull at around 15, then into a quick expansion, and then into a quick third base at 4 to 5 minutes. Mid game though, that's when things start getting a bit more interesting for us, because TLO, he has got some really cool strategies he's been messing around with. Probably the coolest thing I've seen him do is a Nidus network with Mass Queen and Swarm Host. Yeah, it is that simple. You just chuck the Nidus down like here if your opponent has a third base, or like here if they don't, or various other places. You're just like, hey, guess what? I've just got Swarm Hosts at your natural. There's nothing you can do about it. Especially difficult if the Protoss player, like oh so many, decides to go for a Stargate opening, and then suddenly they only have detection in the form of the Oracle with Envision. But with the Queens there, you can knock that out pretty easily, and really without an observer, it can be very difficult in order to deal with it. So, as you can see here, the pull is going to be coming down after the hatch, so TLO being very brave here. Luckily though, no Forge first out of PandaTank. Instead, just happily going about his business, getting down a pylon. Probably going to be Nexus first now, judging by the amount of minerals he has got banked up. Other mid-game compositions that are good for TLO. Roach Hydra, really solid, getting into Vipers to abduct those nasty Colossi, or things like Carriers, etc. Other than that, Swarm Host Corruptor is really good as well. So, lots of viable things that TLO could be throwing at PandaTank. What could PandaTank be doing? Well, you can follow this up with, obviously, the Forge, the Gateway, the Cybercore. Then you can get a Stargate down. You can go into some Oracle harassment. You could chuck down a Robotics Facility and go into some really quick Immortal play or something like that. Alternatively, chuck down 5 Gateways. Go into a 6 Gate with a Mothership Core. Get Blink out as well. Use some Blink Stalker harassment of TLO's third base. If you get surrounded by Speedlings, mass recall. You're absolutely fine. So, this is what's really exciting about this expansion and Heart of the Swarm in general, is there are so many good strategies. And oh my goodness, that base came down early. Like, legitimately, that came down about like 440. That was crazy quick. And as we can see, PandaTank is going to punish this with some cannons, because there's a Forge, there's a pylon. TLO's like, I got it down without you noticing. Herpty-derpty-derp. What TLO doesn't know, though, unfortunately, but I believe can suspect, is that there's something coming down here. He's rallied over some Zerglings there. We see now that the cannon's on its way. And 2 Zerglings, unfortunately, well, they're not going to be enough. Anywhere near enough to deal with this. 4 Zerglings couldn't deal with it. 8 Zerglings probably couldn't deal with it now. But TLO, he's desperately going. He's trying to run these Zerglings over, and then he's going to notice, and then he's going to have a little bit of problems, because this hatchery will die now. There is a grand total of nothing that he can really do about that. That hatchery, dead and gone, all over. And as such, that is going to be very problematic going into the mid-game when your opponent already has their Nexus up, and they went Nexus first. They have got a great economy, and you are not going to have one. 8 Zerglings now coming out, trying to come and save this hatchery, but 8 Zerglings is 4 drones that never were, and also means that actually I've really got to deal with this quickly. A second cannon now coming down. The pylon is the weak link, so with that, that is now completely safe. The single queen there, trying to help. The probe was taken out, but we can see already some good damage being done. The second cannon about to complete. The queen should be able to outrange that cannon to knock out the pylon. But the concern is, though, that actually everything's going to die before that point. The Zerglings are going to be going for that cannon as best they can, but it is about to complete. So many Zerglings are going to die here. The second cannon is now done. The pylon is potentially the weak point here, but as we can see, the queen cannon is trying to come over, but both cannons do survive. A second queen now coming out, trying to deal with this as best they can. One cannon does fall, but the second cannon does still survive. TLO forced to make another 8 Zerglings. So even though he's keeping the hatch up at the moment, just through some distraction with the queens, with the lings, it doesn't matter. So many drones have not been made. It's been such a long period of time without mining here that actually, even if this cannon goes down now, it is more than paid for itself. Good transfuse going down on that queen, keeping it alive. TLO playing very well here. Need to be careful not to lose the other queen, though. The cannon does now die, and the hatchery stays up. But look at the worker count. 36 probes, 36 drones rather, to 34 probes. That is good news. The Stargate coming out behind this as well. Some good damage done. A Stalker even coming down here as well. Going to try and get that Queen. Is it going to be able to do it? Yes, it does. Good little Stalker there. The Zergling trying to get this around though. Stalker desperately trying to micro back as best he can and should be able to get away now. That is fine. The little Stalker that could have Phoenix coming out. That is quite interesting, because usually you tend to see Oracle harassment or something like that. Not the Phoenix, but again, that gives you good scouting information. You can still harass these mineral lines and pick off a Queen once you get sort of 4+ Phoenix out. One Stalker unfortunately gets trapped, will die now. That poor Stalker gave his life to save his buddy, but now with more Stalkers on the way, with that Phoenix getting kind of boosted out with 3 additional gateways coming through. PandaTank is going to have a good number of units. He should be safe. TLO having to drone like an absolute madman, but still only 14 workers ahead at the 8-minute mark, and to be honest, he wants to be a bit further than that. The evolution chamber is coming down as well, so upgrades no doubt starting up soon. 4 gas up for TLO, so he could be going into some nice places. He's got his lair up. He could be going for some kind of Mutalisk style. That would be good. Not so great when there are Phoenix out, but still fairly okay. The Robo facility coming out for PandaTank, and all of the scouting will reveal that yes, there's Phoenix there. There should be Spore Crawlers started now in response to that. There we go. 1 coming down now. I believe that's in the main base, most likely. There we go. So 2 Spore Crawlers in the main. Are we going to see any down at the 3rd? Yep, there we go. 2 there. Could do with 1 in the natural. There we go. So TLO actually going for 6, so really making sure that he's safe against this. He's already had enough disruption to his early game play. Does not want to leave anything to chance. 3rd Nexus, though, is getting secured by PandaTank. This is a very common build that you'll use this air aggression in order to pin the Zerg player back while taking your 3rd base, and it's really very effective as we're seeing now. So what does TLO need to do? He needs to make sure that these Phoenix don't kill anything, ideally. The minimal damage he takes, the better. The 4th base is on its way out for TLO as well, so he's just making sure that's going nicely. Getting his Hydrogen out, that's a safe move, because if your opponent's gone for a Stargate, they're not going to have Colossus out for quite a while. And without those Colossi, or at least sort of 2-3 Colossi, the Hydras are going to be very effective against everything else that approach player can go with you. And the other thing that's worth noting actually so far, and really is interesting, is the fact that PandaTank has chosen not to get a Mothership core yet. That did allow the Stargate to get out slightly sooner, but it's such a strong unit. I think pretty much every Protoss player will be getting it as standard. You've got to have a really good reason not to get it, to be honest, as opposed to just trying to cut a corner. So what we've got coming down now is the Twilight Council, so we're going to be transitioning out of this. No Robotics Bay though yet, so those Roaches, those Hydras are going to be even better. We've got the Hydra range upgrade coming out first, and apparently, oh, look at that nice little graphical bug. Did you see those creep spreading worm thingies go straight through this? Ah, that's bad times, but still, we do see that the Phoenix just coming around, coming to take a look at these drones. Drones coming very near to that Spore Crawler though, just baiting them through. This top base I don't believe is known yet to PandaTank, so that's good for TLO that he's got that still hidden. He's also getting up his infestation pit. Could be for Swarm Host with the 1-1 upgrades which you're getting out already for the Roach Hydra. The Locust benefit from that as well. You've got the Hydras there ready for the anti-air, which is really the only thing that Swarm Hosts aren't great against at this stage of the game. And then your transition out of that is to get your Spire down in order to start looking to get things like your Corruptors out. But instead, Hive very early on. So this Hive probably going to be used for Vipers. I know TLO likes using Vipers quite a lot. They are very good units. Blinding Cloud is effective, especially against Terran. Whereas Abduct, very, very good against Protoss, because you can abduct Colossus into your Roach Hydra army and just melt them down without the support of the gateway units, so they can't stay at the back and just deal damage from afar. The Observer getting a good read on what TLO is doing. I believe it's catching a couple of these Hydras, so should be aware that that's coming down. Blink is on its way, so is Extended Thermal Lance. These double pylons there, and yeah, as we saw, the Overseer just morphing in, going to probably come in, get a quick look at what's happening. Infestor's actually coming out for TLO now, and that really is surprising, because Pathogen Glands wasn't researched, and I don't actually often see Infestors in Heart of the Swarm, just due to a lot of players feeling they aren't quite as strong as they are in Wings of Liberty. So they aren't just the go-to move that so many players have before the expansion. Muscular Arguments also coming down. That's, of course, increased speed off of creep. Now, this is how I definitely know there's going to be Vipers, because 2 additional evolution chambers are coming down, and that means that is just some free, or not free, but cheap buildings for those Vipers to consume in order to get their energy up as fast as they can. So this is all looking nice, and as expected, there are the 3 Vipers coming out. This is really solid all-round play. Dark Shrine coming out as well here for PandaTank. Could be for some harassment, more likely just for some Archons, but It's all getting scouted out. TLO, he's got good vision, and the reason it's unlikely to be just DT harassment and more likely Archons is because after the Phoenix opening, you know your opponent's got a good number of Spore Crawlers down, so that isn't going to be too effective. So, Phoenix just trying to pick this off, a couple of changelings chucked down, see Extended Thermal Lance still researching, that's good news. TLO taking his 5th base in the center, that's going to put him 2 bases up. I believe he knows about this base if I take a look. Yep, he saw that coming down earlier, so that is all fine. Upgrade-wise, 1-1 up against 2-0 at the moment, so slight upgrades are pretty equal, slightly in favor of PandaTank, but yep, that's fine. Meanwhile, Phoenix coming in, not gonna go actually all the way because of course there's a lot of Spore Crawlers. The Vipers still increasing number, that's going up to 5 Vipers actually, so quite a few Abducts are going to be available. Those Hydras are going to be very, very effective. The 4th base in the center, trying to get secured by PandaTank, and TLO can start pressuring that once his army is... Now his army is at 200 of 200, just waiting for those last few roaches. May wait for 2-2 as well. Templar Archives coming out, that's a good addition. Storm very strong against Hydras, definitely a worthwhile thing. Also feedbacks onto Vipers can be very effective, so that's another thing, another way you can start utilizing your units more against more compositions, which is always really, really good to see. So, PandaTank, he is starting to move towards the center of the map. The rocks in the center have already been taken out by TLO though, who does have the army supply advantage. A couple of Abducts on those 3 Colossus could be absolutely devastating to PandaTank's army, but TLO, he's moving forward. He's trying to bait them, but with the vision of those Vipers, gonna have to be careful of Blinding Cloud being used, and that is just stopping these Stalkers from moving too far forward. The Colossi getting pulled back now. Are the Hydras gonna be able to do much damage? The answer is no, you can't chain a Abduct though, and that would have been nice to see, just double pull them in order to get them even further away. The Nexus does get taken out though, and that is good news. A lot of Blinding Clouds and Fungal Growths, a great combo, because then the units can't actually move out of the Blinding Cloud in order to deal more damage. So this was nice. TLO managed to snipe that off. Still at 200 of 200 thanks to the resupply. His Ultra Cavern has just finished behind this. A couple more Blinding Clouds just stopping those units from engaging while within them. And altogether, TLO now knows that he's 2 bases above his opponent quite comfortably. Some changelings are just running around because why not? May as well. Better check on my own army, make sure they're not doing anything they shouldn't be. Storm is getting researched. The +3 ground weapons about to complete, as is Charge. So really, both these players reaching their sort of late game compositions. 2-2 done for TLO. 3-2 is being researched, as well as the +3 missile attack. So TLO getting all of the upgrades, ready to switch into those Ultras. He's also getting his Spire down, likely to become a greater Spire, just if he wants to go Broodlords in the very late game. It's still a good composition. And now we're just seeing PandaTank desperately trying to hold this. He's got to sit back. He knows he's not able to push into TLO at the moment. So TLO has the map control, has the map dominance, and is really in the lead at the moment, just due to the fact that he's got all 5 bases up compared to the 3 of PandaTank right now. Also, it's worth noting that with the upgrades, TLO has got the upgraded advantage now, 2-2 against 3-0, so he's really in a solid spot. Pathogen Glands nearly finished as well. TLO has been effectively using those Infestors, to be fair to him, and that just means that really now the Ultra Cavern's done, the Remax could be very, very strong. TLO just wants to engage as cost effectively as he can so that a Remax will overpower his opponent. And that is really his aim now. Maybe just delay it a little bit so he's got enough money in the bank to Remax quickly. But pushing forward now, trying to bait an engagement. The Vipers over the high ground there, just ready to abduct on those Colossi. Because a couple of good abducts can really make the difference if you can knock out those power units from the back. So that is what we should all be keeping an eye out for. TLO, he is just getting out his upgrades. He's pushing forward now, trying to move, getting some Blinding Clouds down. Blinding Cloud does affect Photon Cannon, some abducts going on those Colossi. One is probably going to fall quite quickly, but good damage still being done. More Blinding Clouds, more Fungal Growths. A good blink forward though, and as we can see, PandaTank really swinging the tide of this battle into his favour, dealing a nice amount of damage. 8 Ultras are coming in behind this, but PandaTank has got quite a period of time, 55 seconds, before they pop, and therefore he is going to be able to come and go for some counter aggression. The Viper's consuming that extractor, desperate for more energy, for more abducts, for more Blinding Clouds. The Spine Crawler Wall buying TLO some desperately needed time, but PandaTank, if he goes now, there's hardly anything here. There's a good spread on the units, but in they go. A Blinding Cloud now hitting those Stalkers, stopping a lot from being able to engage, but the Hydras are just too low in number. More Blinding Clouds trying to go down, trying to stop the Colossus from being able to do damage at the back there. Or should I say Colossi? I didn't see the second one. And now we're just really, really sitting back and thinking, do you know what? I've got to try and push in at some point. I've got to try and deal some damage. Those Ultras are starting to pop. TLO may have to sacrifice this center 5th base, going with those Hydras and Roaches, trying to stop the reinforcements, trying to really force his opponent's army to wait, buy him more time, because time is what he needs to get out more units. TLO though, he is behind in supply. That is problematic, but in come the Ultras. They are charging down these Stalkers, dealing a good amount of damage. A fungal growth will lock them into place, allowing the Ultralists to do more damage. One Colossus does fall. The second Colossus is about to start taking an awful lot of damage. No more fungal growth though, so blinking away with those Stalkers very effectively. A storm goes down. Both Colossi dead. That means PandaTank has no splash damage, but he can start using those Stalkers to try and snipe stuff off. But the upgrades are 2-3 for the Ultras. They do also have the Ultra Armor upgrades, so that means that they are even beefier, even tankier, and that forces PandaTank back for the moment. And while TLO lost his center base, he does have a fourth up at the top, so not a massive issue. Just puts him on equal bases for the moment, but if PandaTank is able to secure the bottom base, that puts him a base up, and that is definitely a very advantageous position for any Protoss player. So, quick recap in what we've seen. We've seen TLO be the aggressor twice now. The first time was quite successful. He took out this fourth base. Second time, even though he had some good blinding clouds, PandaTank just crushed TLO's army and came for the counter push. The counter push knocked out TLO's fifth, leveling them out on equal bases, and also causing a bit of panic for TLO really. He's got a lot of Ultras now and not many supporting units. The supply is in the Protoss favour, and all during that push, PandaTank was able to start production of his fifth base, which will put him a base up since TLO hasn't yet restarted his fifth in the centre. So, this is now anyone's game. It really is. The worker count is also in PandaTank's favour, so with a better income, he is in a very strong spot. The Colossi were taken out by TLO though, so that means that the splash damage is a bit low, but with the High Templar there, with the Archons there, it should be good. And well, a good fungal growth does indeed hit. The Ultra's able to close up some of the distance. Some great blinding clouds on the back of the army. That is preventing a lot of those Stalkers from engaging the Ultras, and that is just really helpful, especially mixed in with the fungal growth, preventing the units from even getting out of that blinding cloud. A lot of the Ultras have managed to clean out a lot of damage. The Colossus does fall, but an Immortal at the back is dealing some nice damage. Some more Archons are morphing in. The Storms were absolutely great, and that just means that for the moment the supply has stabilized very, very equally, only 4 supply between them, and with the greater income and worker supply for PandaTank, he should be able to resupply slightly quicker, but he will have less supply available for his army. So things looking very, very equal. TLO trying to retake that fifth base in the center, but this bottom base mining. No gas yet though, just getting noticed there. So 3 and 3 into each geyser. That is precisely what we want from PandaTank. So this game is getting really rather tense. Both of these players desperate to try and win. I genuinely don't know who's going to take this. It seems very close at the moment. The Greater Spire, I'm sure, is done. It is indeed, but we've got no sign of any Broodlords though. Just sticking to that Ultra Viper style composition. TLO desperate to try and make those blinding clouds work, and combined with the fungal growths, it has been very effective, stopping a lot of the Stalkers, Archons, Immortals, etc. from engaging. But as we see now, a couple of Zealots running in towards the top base. Is there anything to defend here? Yes, a handful of Spine Crawlers. But with 3-3 upgrades, or 3-2 upgrades rather, these Zealots will tank an awful lot of it up. They should be able to do a nice amount of damage. Probably won't be able to push through now this Ultra has come to join into the mix. But if you keep knocking out these Spine Crawlers, you're forcing TLO to keep remaking them. That costs him mineral and drones. But PandaTank now nearly maxed out. He's starting to move forward. He's got a good number of Immortals, perfectly counteracting this composition of TLO with the many Ultras. One Stalker apparently just blinking forward, being sacrificed for the informations. But 5 bases, the 5 bases now. But PandaTank, with the greater worker count, is slightly ahead and has been having that for slightly longer. So more minerals, more gas, or gas actually pretty equal for both of these two. Army supplies looking fairly similar as well, 120 to 127. TLO starting to move forward though. Are the blinding clouds going to be good enough? Are the fungal growths going to hit? There's an abduct onto a single Archon, but did you see those feedbacks? Absolutely sensationally good by PandaTank right there. These two giving us a great micro battle and great positioning battle as well. So really, really fun to watch this. A single Zealot and that Observer gonna get a good idea of where TLO is moving to. The Archons, the army can reposition. PandaTank actually going to use this opportunity with TLO down towards the bottom to go and push into the fifth base rather, and this is going to be a big problem because that hatchery almost certain to go down. TLO, he's got to get back to try and defend this, but he wanted to engage on his own terms, not to be out of position to defend. This is going to be really tough. Some Storms are starting to hit, trying to storm down on all of those Ultras. A good bungle both hits all of the Immortals, but they are just doing so much damage to these Ultralists. We see that the supply for TLO plummeting, the Hydra's getting stormed to death, and with this, I do think PandaTank is going to be able to take the game. TLO down to just 140 supply, but that's including the 8 Ultralists that are in production, and TLO they're forced to GG out. And what a sensational Heart of the Swarm beta game. I really hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Thank you very much all for watching. Like the video, leave a cool comment, and of course subscribe, because I get new games up every single day of the week. So yeah, I'll catch you tomorrow for yet another new cast. I'm Madals. Bye for now.